Last but not least, my parents are not here. They're in their late 80s. They're still in their home, the home that we grew up in. They have no outside help. They're doing fantastic, but a year ago my dad had a heart attack in Denver, and they were worried about coming back to the altitude, and they're doing so well that we all thought we'd leave best alone. And they are watching through FaceTime or Skype or who knows what. And they'll have the videos. Give you an idea of what kind of grandparents they are. Once they got up to 3 or 4 grandkids, they went out and bought a minivan to haul around grandkids. They're the gold standard for parenting and grandparenting. We love them very much. Wish they could be here, but understand that they're not. A couple more people want to thank Elizabeth Hoffner, who's about 14 years old, not quite that, but very, very young, the wedding planner, done an outstanding job. I don't know where she is. Apparently she's right behind me. Right there. Oh, she's going to fix the mic. This is outstanding. Okay, so we're wired now. We're not going to trust the technology anymore. She's done a fantastic job. She came in about halfway through and did a great job. And the other person we want to thank directly is Diane Dieter, who is Dana's sister, who lives in Denver and has basically done 80% of everything behind the scenes for this. And again, has treated our children like her own, and has been a wonderful aunt. And as about half of you know, there are many, many other people that have helped, and I would love to list all your names, but I'm afraid they're going to cut the mic off like the Oscars if I go on too long. And so in a Tom Sawyer-esque kind of way, we want to thank you as well. It made it even more special that so many people helped. My notes are gone. Here they are. Last night, we had an incredible rehearsal dinner, courtesy of the Hassigs. And it was great food, great drink, incredible toasts. I heard things about Nick and Madison that I realized after I heard them that I knew them, but I had not heard anybody put them into such eloquent words. They were all very young and very insightful and thoughtful, and it was really, really cool. We already love the Hassigs. They're all very unique, different, fun-loving, and it's a wonderful match on the family side as well. But we had a great time last night. Now to Madison. The birth of Madison is one of the 3 happiest moments of my life. It's the first child in our extended family, and you think you're ready for it, but when they pop out of the womb and you see characteristics of your wife and physical characteristics of yourself staring at you, it's really, really amazing. And that, along with the marriage to my wife and the birth of my son, are the 3 happiest moments of my life. I was very fortunate. I was able to spend a lot of time with Madison when she was very, very young, and I've always been, I believe, kind of a kid at heart. Loved to play a lot of games, and so from the get-go, we had music on cassette tapes, and then CDs and iPods. We were always dancing inside or around the house. If we were outside, we always were multitasking. We had music on. We were playing games, ball tag, soccer, basketball, you name it. Kids loved it. They learned how to be silly. They had a great time. And being their parents was just absolutely amazing. Both of our kids have just been completely problem-free, wonderful. You don't believe that? That is really the truth. And as I said, Madison was the first grandchild, so she got a lot of attention. First baptism, first time she's sitting in a high chair, first time she's taking a bite. There's 15 to 20 family members there taking it all in. So you would think, and I kind of worried early on, gee, is she going to get spoiled with all this attention? But she never did. She has grown up so adventurous, authentic, empathetic. Am I saying that wrong? Empathetic. Conscientious. Funny, much of the time intentionally. She's more beautiful inside than out, which is saying a great deal, as you know by looking at her. Not that that's important. I've always said that she's got one of the best 2 or 3 smiles I've ever seen in person in my life. And it's not on her face all the time. She's introverted some of the time, extroverted most of the time. That's something that I can certainly relate to, and it wears well on her. I'm starting to feel a little awkward going on and on about how great she is in a Donald talking about Ivanka kind of way, so I think I'll leave it at that. But suffice it to say that I have always thought, and I still think, she's charismatic enough that she could have her own reality TV show and entertain the world. Not that I would want that for her, but that's what I think of her. Most of the credit for how our kids turned out goes to Dana, who's been an incredible wife and mother. She was the disciplinarian as opposed to the daddy, with great results. To this day, I have a hard time going out to eat because I eat better in the home. Many times, every day, I look at her with marvel. She's truly an angel on earth, and bringing up kids is a labor of love, and that she enjoyed it so much was why she was so great at it. Between Dana, Madison, and my son Luke, who I unfortunately am not going to say a whole lot about because of time constraints, but really Nick and Luke are peas in a pod, which most of you know one of them or the other, and you understand that if I'm saying it about the other one, that they're both incredibly special. But between Dana, Madison, and Luke, I consider myself one of the luckiest men in the world. So I've been asked many times if today is hard. This is not hard. This is a celebration. If I was worried about who Nick Hassig was, maybe it'd be hard. What the heck have we got ourselves into here? But it's the opposite. Hard for me would have been packing up Madison when she was a senior in high school, taking her down to Arkansas, moving her from our house somewhere else and being out of the house forever. That's hard. We took 2 cars because we had so much stuff. Driving back, I'm driving alone. I've got tears all over my face. Halfway home, having to pull off the road. Afraid it's going to have a wreck. That was hard. This is not hard. This is a celebration. Now, we come to Nick. Here's how I learned about Nick. May last year, I hear through the grapevine, as dads do, that Madison was going out by some guy by the name of Nick Hassig, who happened to be from Lawrence, which is where I am from. Shout out to Lawrence, good. And so I have a very good friend that I've known since grade school through college that I still text basically every single day for some reason, named Tom Carmody. Who's here, Tom Carmody over there, who, by the way, happens to be the only person on the world that has known both Madison and Nick from a very young age. I didn't know that at the time. Well, I guess I suspected that he might know Nick because he had a boy, Jeffrey, who was invited but couldn't be here, about the same age. I thought, well, maybe he knows him. So I texted him. And we saved the text. So this is the very first thing that I learned about Nick Hassig. And let me set the stage a little bit. Tom Carmody is, probably half of you know him. He is not subject to hyperbole. He's got great judgment, so I basically knew whatever he was telling me was probably going to be pretty accurate. So I text him and say, hey, you know a kid named Nick Hassig from Lawrence? He says, yes, Nick was and is one of Jeff's best friends. I know Nick very well. And I say, and? Need the truth. Mr. Carmody says, total stud, great athlete, couldn't be nicer, that is the honest truth. He says, how long have they been dating? And my response was, wow. And he retorted, I know. So I say, exclusive a couple weeks, I sense it is very serious. Mr. Carmody says, I'll be honest, I think that's that. I'm serious. Perfect couple. And I said, wouldn't be surprised at all. So I knew very quickly that this was probably going to be a big deal. Particularly since Madison had never really had any kind of boyfriend whatsoever. So I knew she was very, very picky. And it wasn't because Madison isn't all that. It was just, I don't know what it was. I was never worried about it. I knew she was fantastic and somebody shrewd was going to figure it out and latch her up very quickly at some point, and that's what's happened. So that was the intro to Nick, and then I got to know him. And again, so thoughtful, courteous. I know that's a common theme, broken rhetoric. Same with Madison, same with Luke. So courteous. He's got his own style, kind of a Crocodile Dundee thing going on. I like it. He's got his own sense of style. He's in the same business that I am. He's very intellectually curious. He's got a quick smile. And he was an athlete. He was a basketball player. And I like to play basketball. And so I got him out on the basketball court. It's kind of a metaphor for life. I wanted to see, okay, what's this guy do? I learned so much about him on the basketball court. Number one, he was an incredible defender. Whoever taught him how to play defense, and he's got the advantage of he's very athletic, but he was just so technically sound. We're playing pickup, and he could move his feet so well. He's an outstanding defender, great passer. In other words, he knew how to pay attention to detail, to the minor things that made a success with a team. And then the third thing was, people would be fouling the crap out of him, and he didn't care. He would just finish the play and go to the end. Never called a foul, which people that know basketball know, okay, that's cool too. So, I know it's silly, but to me that's a metaphor for life, and I learned a lot right then about Nick. They're so great together. They spend a lot of time alone in the mountains, hiking and camping. Which I think in their case really was camping. But, and they go and do it by themselves. So they'd spend the entire weekend just talking. And I've always told my kids, you find somebody that you can spend hours on end, just the two of you, and you have fun and time flies. That's the Holy Grail. Then you know you got a connection with somebody that perhaps you can spend the rest of your life with. And so they've got that in spades. They possess the key to a great relationship. So, we all look forward to walking with you on your path. Please, and this is the toast part, please raise your glass to Nick and Madison Hassig. May they enjoy many decades of health and happiness together.